Well, we made it to the end of another year, which in itself is something of an achievement. So well done, everybody. We're still here despite everything that 2023 was able to throw at us. And so this is the perfect opportunity for me to reflect on the last 12 months and talk a bit about the next 12. And perhaps the first sigh of relief came with the ending of pretty much all of the pandemic restrictions, which has made life a lot easier for me. Now, obviously, COVID is definitely here to stay, but at least it seems to have settled into a far less dangerous form that should now be much easier to manage. This was particularly important for me on this channel because at the start of the pandemic, I'd basically said that I wouldn't start traveling again until things like mask mandates on public transport and in hotels were lifted. That took a bit longer than I predicted. The other thing that made things easier for me was the introduction of the Deutschlandticket, a reasonably priced monthly subscription ticket valid on all local public transport everywhere in Germany, which is a pretty good deal and saves me personally a surprising amount of money. It also means that wherever I go in Germany, I can just get on a bus or a tram and not have to worry about the complexities of the local ticketing system. Except in the district of Stendal, where the bus operators have stopped recognizing the Deutschlandticket, because nothing ever goes quite as smoothly as it should. So with that in mind, I was hopeful that I would be able to do a lot more travel videos this year. That was the plan, but unfortunately real life got in the way and my time was taken up with some rather more important personal matters. Still, I did get some travelling done and managed to visit a few interesting places. Chemnitz actually surprised me by being a lot less unpleasant than I'd expected, and I'm particularly happy with the way my video on Bayerisch Eisenstein turned out. I'd have liked to have left the house more often, but unfortunately it's been raining pretty much non-stop since about October. I mean, heaven knows we need the rain after a series of hot, dry summers, but we're now facing the opposite problem of floods, which is not helpful when you're trying to plan travel videos. Now, all of this time I've been trying to improve my video making skills and look a bit more like somebody who actually knows what they're doing. It's a tricky balancing act trying to make changes without changing things too radically, but judging by the response that I've got so far, it seems that I may be on the right track. In particular, I finally hit the 100,000 subscriber mark, which was a huge boost to my ego, if nothing else. I had a sudden insane surge in views and new subscribers in the first half of November, and although things have calmed down quite a bit since then, my audience is still growing, which is really gratifying. On a sadder note, as many of you already know, we unfortunately lost our cat Lilli just before Christmas. Now, that's not particularly relevant to my channel. I don't make cat videos. But when I posted about it here on YouTube, I was surprised at just how many of you actually responded. More than that, when I then made a video about it and mentioned the possibility of making a donation to the shelter we'd adopted her from, I honestly expected maybe 2 or 3 of you to actually donate. Yet probably about half a dozen of you commented on that video to say that you had donated or were going to donate. And I have to assume that some people also donated without commenting. So I have absolutely no idea how many of you actually did or how much you donated. I just know that it was a lot more than I'd expected. So a big thank you to everyone who donated, whoever you are. And also a big thank you to everybody who simply left kind messages of support. I've also put a link to the video in question in the video description for those who haven't seen it yet but would like to. Obviously, since I didn't get to travel as much as I'd hoped, there are quite a few videos that I'd planned to make but wasn't able to. I can still make them later though, so I'm not going to give away any spoilers here, but there is one video that I had planned and in fact was quite far along in the production process, but is sadly not going to see the light of day. As some of you might know, I am a bit of a fan of Doctor Who, and this year was the 60th anniversary of that show. So what better way of marking the occasion than making a parody? What would Doctor Who be like if it had been made in Germany. I had a little title sequence ready. I had decided that the German doctor's mode of transport would be this. And I had even made a little screen test of an alien.
Mary had a little lamb. You've heard this tale before. But did you know she passed her plate and had a little more?
My idea was that our time-travelling hero would land on the planet of the bean counters and would thwart the aliens by tricking them into arguing with each other over whether or not he'd actually come to the right department. This was going to be a complicated video to shoot and edit and would probably take a couple of weeks. But I reckoned I had plenty of time before the anniversary of the real show on the 23rd of November. So it was a shame that just as I was putting the finishing touches to my script, I got the flu. I was pretty sick for a day or two and then spent another week feeling unwell with headaches and a nasty cough. And so I missed the date. And then it was December and I had Christmas to think about, so I just didn't have the time. Moving into 2024, and I have high hopes for this channel. As I have previously said, I'm now taking this very seriously and not just as a pleasant hobby. As long as nothing gets in the way, I hope to do a lot more traveling and make more interesting videos than just me sitting here talking all the time. I have a long list of possible destinations, although I probably won't manage to do all of them next year. Without giving anything away, I hope to find some of the more quirky and unusual places to explore, the kind of things that people are not already making videos about, and to make videos that are a bit more engaging than they have been in the past. And with that, all that remains for me to do now is to wish you all the very best for 2024. As they say in Germany, Guten Rutsch.